This one? She's too stupid to even understand what I'm saying. The man speaks German in Manhattan's fanciest steakhouse, thinking nobody else can follow. Victor Reinhardt, a tech billionaire worth $4.2 billion, smirks at the black waitress beside his table. His three German colleagues look uncomfortable but stay quiet. Grace Foster holds her notepad steady, face blank. Victor continues in German. Probably a dropout. No brain, just taking up space. Then he waves his hand dismissively and knocks her notepad to the floor. It cracks against marble. The restaurant goes silent. Grace freezes for 3 seconds. Her jaw locks, her fist clenches. Then she bends down, picks it up, stands slowly. "Of course, sir," she says quietly. Victor laughs as she walks away. What he doesn't see is the look that crosses Grace's face. Cold. Calculating. Dangerous. 6 hours earlier, Grace Foster's alarm goes off at 5:30 a.m. in a studio apartment in Queens that costs $1,850 a month, half her income. She sits up in the darkness and does what she does every morning. Listens for her mother's breathing in the next room. Steady. Shallow. Still alive. Grace exhales and swings her legs out of bed. The framed diploma on her closet shelf catches the streetlight. Heidelberg University, Ph.D. in Germanic Linguistics, summa cum laude. She graduated 3 years ago. The frame cost $12 at Target. She hides it behind her work uniform so guests won't ask questions. In the kitchenette, she makes coffee and opens her phone. The medical billing app loads. $6,800 due this month. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer doesn't negotiate. The experimental treatment isn't covered by insurance. Grace closes the app and opens her bank account. $823. Rent is due in 5 days. She pulls out her black server uniform and checks for stains, smooths the apron. She whispers German conjugations while brushing her teeth, keeps her Heidelberg brain sharp, even if life's more scrubs than seminar. At 6:45 a.m., she checks on her mother. Margaret Foster sleeps in the hospital bed Grace rented, oxygen tube in place, medication pump clicking softly. Grace kisses her forehead and whispers, "Love you, Mama." Her mother doesn't wake. Grace takes the Q train into Manhattan. During the ride, she reads a German linguistics journal on her phone, an article about code switching and power dynamics. The irony isn't lost on her. She wrote her dissertation on how people weaponize language to exclude and dominate. Now she serves people who do exactly that. At 8 o'clock a.m., she arrives at the Sterling. The restaurant sits on 61st and Park Avenue, all glass and granite and old money. The kind of place where the wine list has a sommelier and the bathroom soap costs more per ounce than Grace makes in an hour. She clocks in through the service entrance. The kitchen smells like butter and fresh bread and ingredients with French names. Chef Marco Anderson looks up from prep and nods at her. He's one of the only people here who treats her like a human being. "Morning, Grace. Table assignments are up." She checks the board. Tables 5, 8, 12, and 16. Evening shift. Rich people getting richer over dry-aged steaks and $200 bottles of wine. Manager Gerald Thompson walks past without making eye contact. He never does. To him, servers are basically furniture that occasionally talks. He's been here 15 years and thinks he runs the place. Really, he just runs interference between the owner's impossible standards and the staff's basic human needs. Grace changes into her uniform in the staff bathroom, ties her hair back, practice her smile in the mirror. The key is making it reach your eyes. Customers can tell when you're faking, and tips drop by 30% when they sense contempt. She heads to the dining room for the pre-shift meeting. Gerald stands at the host stand, clicking through reservations. "All right, listen up. Full book tonight. Senator Dawson at 6. The Kowalski wedding party at 8:30, and Victor Reinhardt at 9. One of the other servers, Janice Wilson, perks up. "The tech guy? The billionaire?" "The same," Gerald says. voice getting that oily quality it always has when money walks through the door. He spends big and tips bigger if you don't screw it up. Grace, you've got table 8. That's him. Do not mess this up. Grace nods. Understood. Janice leans over and whispers, I heard he's like impossible to please, super demanding. They all are, Grace whispers back. The shift starts at 5:00 p.m. The early tables fill with pre-theater crowds, older couples, anniversary dinners, business meetings winding down. Grace moves through them like a ghost. Refill water before glasses are empty. Remember modifications without writing them down. Smiles on cue. At 8:52 p.m., a black Mercedes pulls up outside. Through the window, Grace watches a man in an expensive suit step out. Late 50s, salt and pepper hair, the kind of confidence that comes from never being told no. 3 other men follow, all talking, laughing, speaking German. Grace's stomach tightens. She knows that language better than English. Spent 6 years immersed in it. I dreamed about it. Thought about it. Gerald practically runs to the door. Mr. Reinhardt, welcome back. Your table is ready. Victor Reinhardt doesn't acknowledge him. Just walks past like Gerald is wallpaper. His colleagues follow, still speaking German, and Grace catches fragments. Talk of mergers, stock prices, board secrets. They settle at table 8, Grace's table. She takes a breath, picks up 4 menus, and walks over. Good evening, gentlemen, she says, voice steady and warm. Welcome to the Sterling. My name is Grace, and I'll be taking care of you tonight. Can I start you off with something to drink? Victor looks up at her. His eyes move from her face to her uniform to her notepad, and something shifts in his expression. Dismissal. Contempt. The look of someone who's already decided you don't matter. He says something in German to his colleagues. They laugh, one nervous, one genuine, one uncomfortable. Grace keeps smiling. 4 scotches, Victor says in English, his accent slight but precise. Neat. Can you remember that, or should I write it down for you? His colleagues shift. One looks away. Grace's pen hovers over her notepad. 4 scotches, neat. Of course, sir. I'll have those right out. She turns and walks toward the bar, and behind her, Victor starts speaking German again. Louder this time. She hears every word, mocking her intelligence, questioning if she even knows how to spell Scotch. Grace's hand tightens on her notepad. This is going to be a long night. Grace walks to the bar, her professional smile still locked in place. She passes table 12, where an elderly couple is celebrating their anniversary. Table 5, where a young woman is nervously checking her phone every 30 seconds. Table 16, where 2 lawyers argue over a contract. None of them matter right now. All she can hear is the German floating from table 8. She reaches the bar and leans against the polished wood. 4 scotches, neat. The bartender, Tommy, nods and reaches for the top shelf. Reinhardt's table? Yeah. Good luck. Guy's a piece of work. Grace doesn't respond. She watches Tommy pour 4 generous glasses of Macallan 18, $45 per pour. Victor's party will rack up a $500 tab before appetizers even arrive. She loads the glasses onto her tray and turns back toward table 8. As she approaches, Victor's voice rises. He's not even trying to be subtle anymore. He says in German that she looks like a 9th-grade dropout. Grace's step falters for just a fraction of a second. She steadies herself and continues forward. She places the scotches in front of each man, starting from Victor's left and moving clockwise. 4 Macallan 18, neat. Can I tell you about our specials this evening? Victor doesn't look at her. He picks up his glass, swirls it, takes a sip. Then he speaks to his colleagues in German again. He claims she probably can't even read the menu, likely just pointing at pictures. The man to Victor's right, younger, maybe 40, with wire-rimmed glasses, glances at Grace uncomfortably. His nameplate would say Stephen Williams if he wore one. He clears his throat. He starts to object in German, but Victor cuts him off with a wave, insisting she doesn't understand a word. Grace stands there, pen poised over her notepad, waiting. The silence stretches. 3 seconds. 5. 10. Finally, Victor switches back to English, speaking slowly and loudly like she's hard of hearing. We need more time to look at menu. You understand? Of course, sir. I'll give you a few minutes. Grace's smile doesn't waver. She turns and walks away with perfect posture. Behind her, Victor's voice rises again in German. He complains she didn't even say thank you. No manners, typical. Grace makes it to the server station before her hands start shaking. She sets down her tray and grips the edge of the counter. Her knuckles go white. Chef Marco pokes his head through the kitchen window. You good? Fine, Grace says without looking at him. That table giving you trouble? Nothing I can't handle. Marco studies her for a moment, then nods and disappears back into the kitchen. Grace closes her eyes and takes 3 deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth, a technique her therapist taught her for managing anger. She's been using it a lot lately. From across the dining room, she hears more laughter from table 8, more German. She doesn't need to hear the words to know what they're saying. She's heard variations of it 100 times before, in university hallways, at academic conferences, in Heidelberg cafes where people assumed the black woman sitting alone couldn't possibly understand the language they were speaking. But this is different. This isn't academia. This is her livelihood. Her mother's treatment depends on her keeping this job, and keeping this job means swallowing her pride and taking whatever these men dish out. She opens her eyes and straightens her apron. Check her reflection in the polished chrome of the espresso machine. Smile in place. Shoulders back. 3 minutes pass. She returns to table 8. Have we decided on appetizers, gentlemen? Victor finally looks at her. Really looks at her. And his expression is pure condescension. He rattles off the order in German first, watching her face for confusion. He orders oysters for himself, lobster for one colleague, charcuterie to share. Grace doesn't react. Don't blink. Just wait. Victor smirks and switches to English. Do you need me to translate, or? The oysters for you, Grace says calmly, writing it down. Lobster bisque for the gentleman in the blue tie, and the charcuterie board to share for the table. Excellent choices. I'll have those right out. She collects the menus and turns away. Behind her, Victor mutters in German. Lucky guess. Grace's jaw clenches so hard her teeth ache. She keeps walking, keeps smiling, keeps drowning, but something is building inside her. Something that's been compressed and suppressed for 3 years of invisible servitude. Something that won't stay quiet much longer. At table 8, Victor raises his glass to his colleagues, a toast in German to stupid people who make their wealth possible. They drink. Grace enters the kitchen. The fuse has been lit. Grace pushes through the kitchen doors. Heat hits her, line cooks shouting, pans clattering, exhaust fans roaring. She hands the ticket to the expeditor and heads for the walk-in cooler. 30 seconds. She needs 30 seconds alone. Cold air wraps around her. She leans against a shelf, lets her mask crack. Hands trembling, breath shallow. 3 years of being invisible. 3 years of swallowing insults. 3 years of people like Victor treating her like furniture. For what? 6 more months for her mother? A year? So Grace can keep paying rent on an apartment that smells like bleach? The PhD in her closet? The jobs she turned down? The career that crumbled when the oncologist said stage 4? 30 seconds up. Grace straightens and walks back into the heat. 8 minutes later, She delivers the appetizers. Victor doesn't look up, doesn't acknowledge the oysters, the bisque, the perfectly arranged charcuterie board. The moment she turns away, he starts again. He asks in German what bothers him most about this country. His colleagues eat, trying to ignore him. Stefan keeps his eyes down. He claims the lower class works restaurants because they're too stupid for real jobs. No education, no culture, no intelligence. This one here is the perfect example. Grace is 3 steps away. She slows but doesn't stop. Grace reaches the server station. Her hands grip the counter. Harder this time. Janice appears with desserts. "You okay? You look..." "I'm fine. That table 8 guy is a total jackass, right? I heard him..." "Janice, I'm fine." But she's not. 3 years of anger is boiling now. 15 minutes later, she clears the appetizer plates. Victor is mid-story, gesturing with his scotch. His colleagues laugh politely. Grace reaches for the oyster plate. Victor continues in German. "She probably has 3 kids from different fathers. That's why she's stuck here in her mid-30s. Grace's hand freezes above the plate. She imagines dumping the ice into his lap, his $5,000 suit soaked, his shocked face. But she doesn't. She needs this job. Her mother needs treatment. Poverty doesn't care about dignity. She picks up the plate. He comments in German how she picks up plates like she's never seen oysters before, probably drinks canned beer at home. Something cracks inside Grace, not completely, but a fracture appears. She loads plates mechanically, focuses on balance. As she turns to leave, Victor says something that makes Stefan finally speak up. Victor calls her probably illiterate, can't even write her own name. Stefan sets down his fork and objects in German. This is too much. Victor dismisses him, insisting she doesn't understand them. They could discuss quantum physics and she'd look just as blank. Grace reaches the kitchen, plates rattling. Marco appears. "Grace? What's going on?" "Nothing." "That's not nothing. You're shaking." "I said I'm fine, Marco." He backs away. Main course is ready. 4 perfect ribeyes, $400 worth of beef. Grace loads them and returns. Table 8 is quieter. Stefan is uncomfortable. Others on phones. Victor scrolling his tablet, smiling. 4 ribeyes. Medium rare for you, sir." Victor cuts her off. "Do you even know what medium rare means?" The table stills. "Internal temperature 130 to 135 Fahrenheit, Grace says calmly. "Warm red center." Victor's eyebrows rise. He wasn't expecting that. "Well, someone taught you something." He cuts into the steak. Blood-red juice pools. He bites, chews, nods, then switches to German. Even a stupid dog can learn tricks if you show them enough times. The crack spreads. Stefan stands abruptly, apologizing in German. He needs to make a call. He leaves, phone out, but Grace sees his face. Disgust. Shame. Victor shrugs, commenting in German that Stefan's too sensitive. That's not how you win in business. "Anything else?" Grace asks. "More scotch." Then in German, "And maybe a brain for you, but they don't have that on the menu." His colleagues don't laugh. They eat in silence. Grace walks away. Each step is like moving through water. Vision narrowing. Ears ringing. She reaches the server station. Gerald appears. "Grace, Mr. Reinhardt wants you to be attentive to his table." "Attentive? He's very important. Whatever he needs." "Understood." Gerald disappears. Grace gets more scotch. At table 8, Victor tells a story. Gesturing. Rapid German. His colleagues barely listen. Grace sets down the scotch. Victor doesn't pause. He laughs about telling someone that if they can't understand the numbers, maybe they should become a waitress. He drinks, then looks directly at Grace. First eye contact all night. Just like this one here. Too stupid for anything else. Grace's mask shatters. Completely. Irreversibly. Hands stop shaking. Vision clears. Anger crystallizes into something cold, surgical, precise. She looks at Victor Reinhardt. This ends now. Grace sets down the dessert menus with perfect composure. Her movements are calm, controlled, deliberate. Victor is still laughing at his own joke, reaching for his fresh scotch. Then Grace speaks, in flawless, accentless High German, the kind spoken by federal judges and news anchors. She recites in German, with perfect clarity, every insult he's made in the last 35 minutes. Too stupid for real jobs, probably illiterate, too stupid for anything else. Victor's scotch glass freezes halfway to his mouth. The restaurant goes silent. The kind of silence where you can hear ice melting in water glasses 3 tables away. Every conversation stops. Every fork pauses. Every head turns. Victor's face drains of color. His mouth opens, but no sound comes. Grace continues in perfect German, her voice steady and clear. She lists his other claims, 3 kids from different fathers, drinks canned beer, can't write her own name. She pauses. Let it sink in. She recalls being called a stupid dog who can learn tricks, being told she looks like a dropout with an empty head. Victor's colleagues have gone completely still. Stefan, who just returned, stops dead. Grace switches to Austrian dialect, the exact same Victor used. She repeats his claim about having nothing in her skull, noting the particularly charming phrasing. Victor's hands tremble. He sets down his glass before he drops it. Grace returns to High German. She informs him formally that she holds a doctorate in Germanic sociolinguistics from Ruprecht Karls University, Heidelberg. Someone gasps audibly. She states her dissertation title, Linguistic Violence and Power Asymmetries in German-Speaking Contexts. An analysis of the CR-do dichotomy as an oppression mechanism. Grace pulls a business card from her apron and places it before Victor. This is her doctoral advisor's contact, Professor Dr. Klaus Zimmermann. He might know him. Victor's eyes widened. His face shifts from white to red. Zimmermann? He stammers. Grace cuts him off smoothly. She confirms, yes, Klaus Zimmermann. He mentioned Victor once. Victor attended his lectures in 1998 but never completed his thesis on semantic pragmatics. She pauses. He said Victor lacked the discipline for it. Victor's face goes purple. His knuckles turn white, gripping the table. How? He sputters in English. Stefan looks struck by lightning. The other executives stare at Grace with shock and awe. Grace switches to flawless English, addressing the entire restaurant. For 35 minutes, this man has been sexually harassing me in German, assuming I wouldn't understand. He chairs an AI ethics board affecting millions. Yet he can't treat a waitress with basic dignity. Phones come out. At least 6 people are recording. Someone whispers, "Is this real?" An elderly man stands from the corner. Distinguished, late 70s, white hair, wire-rimmed glasses. He speaks formal German, introducing himself as Dr. Friedrich Weber, retired professor of Germanic studies at Heidelberg University. Dead silence. Every eye on him. He continues in German. He was on Grace's examination committee. She earned her doctorate 6 years ago with highest honors. Her work on linguistic oppression is now required reading in their faculty. He holds up his phone. The Heidelberg University website shows Dr. Grace Foster's published thesis. Everything she's saying is true. Victor looks sick, gray-faced. Stefan speaks, voice shaking. Mr. Reinhardt, I can't be part of this. I should have spoken up 20 minutes ago. He throws $100 bills on the table. Dr. Foster. He pulls out a business card. My firm needs someone for international communications. $120,000 starting. Please call me. He places the card on her tray and walks out. A woman stands, press badge on her purse. Sarah Mitchell, New York Times. I've been recording this. Mr. Reinhardt, care to comment on how this reflects on your ethics board position? Victor's mouth opens and closes. His assistant Caroline appears, laptop trembling. Sir, it's already on Twitter. The screen is visible. Hashtag German Grace trending. 148K tweets, 9 minutes ago. Top tweet. Breaking. Billionaire AI ethics chair caught harassing black PhD waitress in German. She has doctorate from his university. Full audio below. Victor stares at the screen. At Grace. The phone's pointed at him. His empire crumbles in real time, and Grace Foster is just getting started. Victor's face twists, shock to rage in seconds. He slams his hand on the table. Scotch glasses jump. This is a setup! You're trying to extort me! Grace doesn't move. A setup? I've been serving you for 90 minutes. You chose to insult me. You deliberately hid your credentials. No one with a PhD works as a waitress. You're lying. Dr. Weber steps closer. Dr. Foster's credentials are entirely legitimate. I signed her doctoral certificate myself. Then why is she working here? Victor gestures wildly. Grace takes a slow breath. My mother has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Treatment costs $6,800 per month, not covered by insurance. I work here to keep her alive. Silence. A woman at table 12 starts crying quietly. Victor snarls. So you're the victim. You speak German, congratulations. That doesn't give you the right to humiliate me. Gerald rushes over. Mr. Reinhardt. Please! Your employee assaulted me verbally. I want her fired, now! Gerald's face goes pale. He looks at Grace, then Victor, then the phone's recording. Sir, I'm sure we can... Fire her! Now! Or I'll make sure every restaurant in this city knows what kind of staff you employ. Gerald's eyes darted around, calculating. Grace sees it. He's choosing the billionaire. Grace, maybe take the rest of the night off. We'll discuss it tomorrow. Discuss what? Whether I'm allowed to defend myself? Mr. Reinhardt is a valued client, and I'm expendable? Gerald won't meet her eyes. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Victor smooths his jacket. See? Even your manager knows you crossed a line. Harmless? Marco's voice cuts from the kitchen. I heard everything. You called her illiterate, stupid, a dropout. You said she had 3 kids from different fathers. That's racist and sexist. A young woman stands. I'm a labor attorney. What Mr. Reinhardt did constitutes workplace harassment. Victor laughs bitterly. I'm a customer. I was having a private conversation. In a language you thought she didn't understand. That's harassment. Sarah Mitchell steps closer, phone recording. Mr. Reinhardt, your stock dropped 3 points in 10 minutes. Your board is being tagged in thousands of tweets. Caroline types frantically. Sir, CNN wants a statement. Bloomberg too. The hashtag is trending worldwide. Worldwide? Victor's voice cracks. Caroline nods. Someone translated it into 15 languages. Victor turns to Grace, desperate. Let's work something out. Privately. He pulls out his wallet, a credit card. I'll pay for your mother's treatment. All of it. Just ask everyone to delete the videos. You think you can buy your way out? Everyone has a price. 50,000? 100? Keep your money. 200,000. Final offer, cash. Grace picks up the card like it's contaminated. Mr. Reinhardt, you spent 35 minutes trying to destroy my dignity. You assumed because I serve food I must be worthless. You used language like a weapon. She places the card back. I don't want your money. I want you to get it. We're not your punchline anymore. Not me, not any of us. Grace gestures to the room, Marco, the attorney, the other servers. Every person you've dismissed, every worker you've mocked, we're done being the joke. We're the truth you weren't ready to hear. Victor's face hardens. You'll regret this. I have lawyers, powerful friends. I'll bury you. You'll never work anywhere again. Is that a threat, Mr. Reinhardt? Sarah asks, phone aimed. Victor realizes too late he's still being recorded. An older black woman stands. I'm Judge Patricia Thompson, retired. Mr. Reinhardt, what you just said constitutes witness intimidation. I suggest you stop talking. Victor looks around. Every face watching, every phone pointed. His two executives stand quietly. One drops cash on the table. We'll be in touch about our resignations. They walk out. Victor is alone. Caroline closes her laptop. Sir, I can't work for someone who does this. I quit. She sets her laptop down and walks away. Victor sits surrounded by empty chairs. Gerald wrings his hands. Mr. Reinhardt, shut up. Victor looks at Grace, fear in his eyes now. What do you want from me? Grace looks around the restaurant, at Dr. Weber, at Marco, at the attorney, at Sarah, at Judge Thompson, at all the faces who emerged to stand with her, then back at Victor. I want you to resign from every ethics board. Fund a scholarship for working-class PhD students of color, $5 million, and work 200 hours in hospitality so you understand what it's like to be treated the way you treated me. Victor's mouth falls open. You can't be serious. Completely serious. That's extortion, Judge Thompson speaks. Actually, those sound like reasonable settlement terms. Given the alternative is multiple lawsuits and public destruction, I'd say Dr. Foster is being generous. Victor looks around desperately. No allies. His phone rings. He checks the screen, goes paler. It's the board. Then you should answer it, Grace says. Victor stands on shaking legs, answers. Walk toward the exit. Yes, I can explain. No, it's not. Please. The door closes. His voice fades. The restaurant erupts. Applause. Cheers. Standing. Someone chants Grace, and others join. But Grace doesn't feel triumphant. She feels exhausted, like she carried a weight for 3 years and finally set it down, only to discover her muscles forgot how to work without it. Marco appears with water. You okay? Grace takes it with trembling hands. Ask me tomorrow. Gerald approaches. Grace, I'm sorry. I should have backed you up. I was wrong. Grace really looks at him, sees the weakness that made him side with money over dignity. You were wrong, and I quit. Gerald's eyes widened. Grace, please. I won't work for someone who would sacrifice me to protect a bully. I'm done. She unties her apron, folds it neatly, hands it to him, then turns to the restaurant. Thank you, all of you. She walks toward the kitchen to collect her things. Stefan's business card is still on her tray. $120,000. International communications. A way out. But first, she needs to check on her mother. Grace pushes through the kitchen doors one last time. The heat, the noise, the familiar chaos. It all feels different now, like she's already left. She opens her locker and pulls out her phone. 17 missed calls, 63 text messages, social media notifications exploding into the thousands. But there's only one number she cares about. She calls the hospice nurse. Ms. Foster, your mother's stable, resting comfortably, everything's fine. Grace closes her eyes, let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Thank you. I'll be there in an hour. She hangs up and reaches into her locker. Behind the uniforms is the framed diploma. Heidelberg University, Doctor of Philosophy, summa cum laude. She takes it out. Hold it. Really look at it for the first time in months. Dr. Grace Foster. She was someone once. She can be someone again. Marco appears in the doorway. The dining room's going crazy. People want to talk to you. There's someone you should meet first. Grace follows him back out. The restaurant is still packed. Nobody's left. If anything, more people have arrived. Word spreads fast in Manhattan. Dr. Weber approaches, moving slowly with a cane she hadn't noticed before. Up close, his eyes are kind, familiar somehow. He speaks to her in German, a formal request for a private word. Grace nods. He gestures to an empty table. They sit. He tells her in German that he remembers her defense exactly. She was brilliant, fearless, just like tonight. Thank you, Professor. He asks in German why she works here when she could teach anywhere with her talent. Grace's throat tightens. My mother... He holds up a hand, switching to German. He knows, he heard, but what comes next? Grace looks down at her hands. I don't know. I just quit. I have $823 in my bank account and rent due in 5 days. My mother's next treatment is in 2 weeks. I don't... Her voice breaks. I don't know what comes next. Weber reaches into his jacket and pulls out a business card, but not his own. This is Dr. Ellen Shaw. She runs the International Linguistics Institute at Columbia. I called her 10 minutes ago. She has a position opening next month, Associate Professor of Sociolinguistics. Starting salary is $95K base, plus remote options for caregiver leave. She specifically asked about your mom's situation. Health insurance that covers pre-existing conditions. Grace stares at the card. Her hands start shaking. I can't just... She wants to interview you tomorrow, 2 p.m. I told her you'd be there. But my mother's treatment... The insurance starts immediately upon signing. I checked. Grace's vision blurs. She blinks hard, but tears spill anyway. Why are you doing this? Dr. Weber's expression softens. Because 40 years ago, I was an immigrant teaching German at a community college in Brooklyn. I had a PhD from Vienna, but American universities wouldn't hire me. I cleaned offices at night to pay rent. He pauses. A student saw me emptying trash cans one night. She was a dean's assistant. Instead of looking away, she looked at me. Really looked. She asked about my credentials. Within a month, I had an interview at Heidelberg. It changed my life. He taps the business card. I've been waiting 40 years to pass it forward. Tonight, I found the right person. Grace can't speak, can't breathe. Sarah Mitchell approaches the table. Dr. Foster, I'm running this story in tomorrow's Times. Front page, above the fold. But I need a quote from you. What do you want people to know? Grace wipes her eyes, thinks. Tell them we're here. The people who serve your food, clean your offices, drive your cars. We're not invisible. We have PhDs, master's degrees, talents you've never asked about. We're here because life is complicated and survival requires compromise. But we're still here. We're still brilliant. And we're still listening. Sarah types it all down. That's perfect. Thank you. She walks away, already on her phone. Stephen Williams appears next, the executive who walked out on Victor. Dr. Foster, I meant what I said. The job offer stands. $120,000. International communications. But after what Dr. Weber just told you, I understand if you want to teach instead. Grace looks at both cards. 2 futures. 2 possibilities. Can I think about it? Take all the time you need. My card's good for a year. He shakes her hand and leaves. The dining room is buzzing. Grace sees Gerald in the corner, talking frantically on his phone, probably to the owner, explaining why his star server just quit on the busiest night of the month. She doesn't feel sorry for him. Judge Thompson approaches. Dr. Foster, I took the liberty of documenting everything tonight. If Mr. Reinhardt doesn't follow through on your terms, you have grounds for a substantial lawsuit. I'm happy to recommend attorneys. I don't want to sue him. I just want him to change. Then you're a better person than most. The judge hands her a card anyway. Just in case. Grace pockets it. More people approach. A food blogger wants an interview. A documentary filmmaker. It's overwhelming. Too much. Too fast. Marco gently intervenes. All right, everyone. Give her some space. She's had a long night. He guides Grace back toward the kitchen, away from the crowd, the noise, the attention. You okay? He asks again. This time, Grace almost smiles. Ask me tomorrow. That's what you said last time. I know, but this time it might actually be true. She collects her things from the locker, the diploma, her jacket, her phone still buzzing nonstop. As she heads for the exit, she passes the server station one last time, the place where she stood trembling an hour ago, wondering if she should speak up or stay silent. She chose to speak, and everything changed. Outside, the Manhattan night is cool. The street is busy, cabs honking, people rushing, the city that never stops. Grace pulls out her phone and calls her mother's nurse again. It's me. Is she awake? Can I talk to her? A pause. Then her mother's voice, weak but clear. Gracie, baby, what's wrong? It's late. Grace's throat closes. She swallows hard. Nothing's wrong, Mama. Everything's actually right. For the first time in 3 years. What happened? Grace looks back at the Sterling. Through the window, she can see people still talking, still recording, still processing what they witnessed. I'll tell you when I get home. But, Mama, I think we're going to be okay. Her mother's laugh is soft, tired, but genuine. We've always been okay, baby. We've got each other. I know, but now we might have a little more than that. She hangs up and starts walking toward the subway. Behind her, the Sterling's windows glow warm against the dark street. Ahead of her, the city stretches out in a million possibilities. Dr. Grace Foster. She was always someone. Now the world just knows it. 24 hours later, Grace's face is everywhere. She wakes up to her phone ringing. It's been ringing since 6 a.m. Dr. Foster, this is Good Morning America. She hangs up. It rings again. Dr. Foster, CNN here. She turns it off. In the next room, her mother is awake, watching TV. Grace hears the news anchor. Viral moment capturing the world's attention. Hashtag German Grace has been tweeted over 3.2 million times. The video has 50 million views. Grace walks in. Her mother looks up, tears streaming. Baby, I had no idea. All this time, I didn't want you to worry. Mama, you have a PhD. You're brilliant. And you've been serving tables because of me? Grace sits on the bed, takes her mother's hand. Not because of you. For you. There's a difference. Her mother squeezes tight. What happens now? Interview at Columbia at 2, and about 20 other offers to sort through. The TV continues. The anchor interviews someone. Victor Reinhardt. He looks terrible. Bags under his eyes, hair uncombed. Mr. Reinhardt, you've resigned from 3 boards. Your stock dropped 18%. What do you say? Victor stares at the camera. I was wrong. Completely wrong. I allowed arrogance and prejudice to hurt someone who didn't deserve it. Dr. Foster was doing honest work. I treated her like she was beneath me. Will you follow through on her demands? Yes, all of it. 5 million transferred to the Foster Scholarship Fund. I start my first restaurant shift Monday. 200 hours? 200 hours, maybe more. However long it takes to understand what I did. The anchor leans forward. Some call this career suicide. others genuine accountability. What do you say? Victor looks at the camera. I'm grateful, Dr. Foster gave me the chance to be better. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'll spend my life trying to earn it. Commercial. Grace's mother mutes it. Do you forgive him? Grace thinks. I don't know yet, but I think he might change. That's enough for now. Her phone buzzes. Text from Dr. Weber. Turn on Channel 8. Now. Grace switches channels. Local news. Reporter outside the Sterling. Stunning turn of events. The owner announced major changes. Manager Gerald Thompson terminated. All servers now receive $25 per hour, full benefits, protection from harassment. The owner cited Dr. Grace Foster's courage as the catalyst. Text from Marco. Did you see? We won. Grace, we actually won. More texts flood in. Stephen Williams. Offer still stands. No pressure. Sarah Mitchell. NYT piece is live. Grace opens the article. Headline reads, The Waitress Who Spoke 6 Languages, How One Woman's Courage Exposed Silicon Valley's Ugly Truth. There's a photo of her from last night, diploma in hand, looking at the camera, strong, unbroken. Her mother reads over her shoulder. That's my daughter. Grace's eyes well up. Mama, listen, I've watched you sacrifice everything for 3 years. Your career, your dreams, all for me. I never knew the cost. It wasn't a cost, it was a choice. Then let me choose too. Take that Columbia job. Teach. Do what you were meant to do. But the treatment will be covered by your new insurance. Dr. Weber made sure, didn't he? Grace nods. Then it's settled. Show them what I already know. You're the smartest, strongest woman in any room. Grace hugs her mother carefully, mindful of tubes and wires. I love you, Mama. I love you too. Now get ready. Can't show up to Columbia like you just woke up. Grace laughs through tears. 3 hours later, she stands outside the International Linguistics Institute at Columbia. Old brick and ivy, the smell of books and possibility. Her phone buzzes. Unknown number. She answers. Dr. Foster, this is Klaus Zimmermann from Heidelberg. Grace's breath catches. Her doctoral advisor. Professor, I saw the video. Friedrich sent it. Grace, I'm incredibly proud. Her eyes sting. Thank you. Your dissertation has been downloaded 100,000 times in one day. Universities worldwide are adding it to their curriculum. Your work is getting the recognition it deserves. Grace leans against the building. I don't know what to say. Say you'll keep fighting, keep speaking, keep showing the world that brilliance doesn't come with a uniform. I will. I promise. Good. Now ace that interview. Dr. Shaw is expecting you. He hangs up. Grace takes a breath, straightens her jacket, touches the diploma in her bag, then walks through the doors of Columbia University, not as a waitress, as Dr. Grace Foster. 3 months later. Grace stands at the front of a Columbia University lecture hall. 60 students fill the seats, faces from every continent. Some fresh from undergrad, others older, still wearing work uniforms from their morning shifts. A woman in a hospital cleaning uniform sits front row, notebook open, pen ready. Grace writes on the board, Linguistic Violence and Hidden Brilliance. She turns to face them. Show of hands. How many of you have worked a service job while holding a degree? Nearly every hand goes up. How many have been treated like you're stupid because of the uniform you wore? The hands stay up. Some students look down, remembering. Now, how many times did the person insulting you have no idea who you really were? A few bitter laughs. All the hands still raised. Grace nods slowly. That's what I thought. She switches to German, then Spanish, then Mandarin, then back to English, each sentence flowing seamlessly into the next. They think language makes them superior. They think their words are invisible to us. But we hear everything. We remember everything. And we're using it to become something they never expected. A young man in a delivery driver uniform speaks up. Professor, I have an engineering degree from Syria. Here I deliver food. When do I stop being invisible? Grace looks at him directly. The moment you decide you're not. Visibility isn't given. It's taken. I served tables for 3 years before I took mine back. But that night, I stopped waiting for permission. She walks to the window, looks out at the campus. A billionaire thought he could destroy me with words I supposedly didn't understand. He was wrong about what I knew, but he was also wrong about what I'd accept. She turns back to the class. Every person in this room has something the world doesn't know yet. A skill, a language, a degree, a dream. The question isn't whether you're good enough, you already are. The question is, when will you stop letting others define you? The hospital worker raises her hand. What if we're scared? What if speaking up costs us everything? Grace's expression softens. It might. I almost lost everything. But silence was costing me more. It was costing me myself. She pauses. Here's what I learned. They can take your job, your money, your time, but they can't take your knowledge. They can't take what you know. And the moment you speak, really speak, you remind the world that you were never the person they imagined. The room is silent. Grace picks up her diploma from the desk, the same one that hid in a locker for 3 years. This gathered dust while I served scotch to men who called me illiterate. But it was always here. She taps her head. And it was always here. She touches her chest. They just couldn't see it. She sets it down. Your turn. What are you hiding, and why are you letting them decide when you reveal it? Class dismissed. Students pack up slowly, processing. The hospital worker approaches. Professor Foster, I have a master's in public health. I am from Colombia. But here, Grace pulls out a business card. The Foster Scholarship Fund. Full ride for working students. Apply by Friday. The woman's eyes flood. I don't know what to say. Say you'll stop hiding. The world needs what you know. The woman takes the card with trembling hands and leaves, walking taller than when she came in. Grace gathers her things. Her phone shows a text from her mother. Scan came back clear. 3 months cancer-free. Doctors amazed. Grace's throat tightens. She types back, Told you you're stronger than anything? Love you, Mama. Another text appears. Victor Reinhardt. Completed 200 hours of service work, starting another 200 voluntarily. You were right, I needed to understand. Thank you for not giving up on change. Grace stares at the message for a long moment. Then she types, Keep going. The world needs people who can admit they were wrong. She hits send. Outside, the Columbia campus glows in late afternoon light. Students cross the quad, some in business suits heading to internships, others in uniforms heading to night shifts. All of them carry brilliance the world hasn't discovered yet. Grace's phone rings. Unknown number. She answers. Dr. Foster, this is the United Nations Commission on Worker Rights. We'd like you to deliver the keynote address at our Global Summit on Workplace Dignity. Grace stops walking. Look up at the sky. Clear, infinite, full of possibility. Yes, she says. I'll be there. She hangs up and continues across campus, past students who don't know her story yet. Past buildings where other invisible people are waiting for their moment. Her moment came. Theirs will too. Stories like Grace's don't go viral by accident. They spread because people like you decide they matter. If this story made you see someone differently, hit that like button so it reaches the person who needs it most. Subscribe to hear more stories about the brilliant people hiding in plain sight. And here's the real question. Who have you underestimated this week? Drop it in the comments. Sometimes admitting it is the first step to changing it.